It is nice to see you, Austin.
And if I don't make fun of you, it'd be like you would let me make sense.
Here by choice.
Yeah.
Austin is here by choice.
All right, it's 2:03. Let's do this.
I love it. Let's do this. Take us away, Cole. All right. So what is that? Tomorrow we have CE class in here on 1031 exchanges for vacation and short-term rentals. So Melissa Ormison Hall has taught a class here before. She presented to our commercial agents a while back.
She did.
So
Yeah.
that is in this room, sponsored by Fidelity Title and Academy Mortgage. And Fidelity has the registration link. So click on the link on our website, or Cole can pop it in the chat too, just to make sure that they have your information for CE class and for lunch. And that's in person only. Lunch is provided. We have changed the technology classes. Cole, you want to come over here so everyone can see you, see that you exist. So what are you going to teach, and tell everyone about it?
So today's class is more so just going to be open forum. I want to hear kind of from what the agents are struggling with. I wasn't ever able to go to Austin's one just because I was other circumstances, but I kind of want to hear what the agents are struggling with in command, because I want to be able to tailor the class to kind of just not so much so just going over everything, but just more so like specific attacks on what you guys are struggling with. So that's kind of what today will be about, kind of building that curriculum. And also I'll spend like 15 minutes just kind of showing some resources and things that like we as a brokerage provide. So
Cool. And it's going to be every Tuesday, just 11 to 11:30 in this room right after the meeting.
Yep.
So easy,
Short,
easy.
sweet, to the point.
Yes.
Love it.
Okay. And then next week we have a special class put on by Core Title, and it is called Get Known, Get Listings. And 87% of realtors right now will not make it in the industry according to their stats. So do you want to be one of the 13% that succeed? Yikes. None of you guys will be that 87%. But it's all about different ways to get listings, a lot of farming. It is not a CE class, but it's going to be a great class to get to know their tools and get more business. So that's going to be in this room Thursday, September 20th from 11 to 12. Is that a Thursday? Someone should fact check that. So 11 to 12 in this room, and there is no sign up, I believe. Is there a sign up, Cole? No sign up.
CE, no sign up.
No CE, no sign up. You just show up. So I know, right?
Put it together today.
Woo!
Mhm.
Okay. But it should be a good class. They just presented it at another brokerage and had like 50 people there. So it's supposed to be a good class.
Cool.
And then Rochelle next week on Thursday. Okay, so the 20th must be Wednesday if the 21st is Thursday. So Rochelle is teaching her roundtable on Thursday at 11 o'clock in this room. And there's no sign up for that. You just show up and talk about social media. All the things, the algorithms, Reels, TikToks, all of it. Josh, come on up. You have some updates from Academy on some products.
This bagels smell good.
Those bagels do smell good. If you're on Zoom, you're missing out. Fancy coffee creamers, orange juice, bagels.
Orange juice. No.
Yeah, I know we sprung big.
Off with Academy Mortgage, in case you don't know. Nice to see everybody today. This flyer I put out today was about low down options. Okay, so a lot of times people think they need to come in with a big down payment. They don't. You can come in with as little as zero down on Govy loans. So if you're VA, USDA, that you can qualify for, those are great zero down Govy loan programs. We also have down payment assistance programs that allow you to go zero down with forgivable grants that you don't have to pay back. So lots of great options there. We've got a jumbo loan that you can go up to almost $1 million on your loan with 3% down. Would you want to go that high? I don't know. But, you know, if the circumstance calls for it, then we have those options for you and available. So tons of great options. Again, dispel the belief out there that people think they need to come in with big chunks of money. Even though we're still in the higher rate environment, getting people into houses now when they can take advantage of, where prices are on homes now versus where they're going to be a year from now. There's a great meme that I like to, that I have up in my office in Wilsonville. It says, a year from now, you'll wish you had started today. And
I love that.
that is a, great mantra to talk about with your clients, because it's absolutely true. A year from now, they're gonna be like, oh man, you're right, I should have bought a year ago. Rates are lower now. I could have bought that house for 30,000 less and just refinanced, into it today. So think about that every time you're talking with your clients that may or may not be on the fence. Just find a way to make it affordable for them, really crunch the numbers for them. A lot of people are hesitant just because they don't know the numbers. They're fearful, and they just need to get some math in front of them, whether it's, official pre-approval or just running through numbers and getting them comfortable with the idea of it, and saying, okay, here's where you're comfortable. Fine. Let's search. Let's find where we can make, that a reality for. If people want to do new home buyer classes, I'm available for those as well. That's a great way to get in front of people for, dispelling those beliefs and those myths about home buying, and getting in front of folks. So I passed out that flyer to everybody. If anybody wants me to email it to them, just let me know. I'm happy to send you over electronic copy as well. And then Cole, if you want to go to the next slide, thank you. So I've got a membership in List Reports. So I don't know, some of you are probably familiar with that. I know some of you are already partnered with me in List Reports, but it is a great online platform that is free to the agent. It's got tons of awesome marketing kits and resources for your listings, open houses. You can do sign writers out of there. There's daily shareables. So even if you're not a social media king, you can easily pull one of these and just post something daily, so you have something every day going that's branded with a little bit of information that's being pushed out to your folks. You can just sort of set it and forget it. It's great, easy, and it's all relevant and timely information about what's going on in the current market. So check it out. If you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to send you a link so you can go in and go through it and learn a little bit more about it. And if you want to sign up for it, that's fine. Again, it doesn't cost you anything, and lots of great resources. You can do single property websites. There's just, the marketing kits are huge, so there's lots of good examples in there for them. So that's what I got for today. Any questions?
Awesome, Josh. Thank you. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
If somebody is new in this country, so they don't have any, like a record of working more than 6 months, can they still get approved for home loan?
So we do have foreign national programs if that's what their status is. It really sort of depends on what their sort of immigration status may be. And what and so if they're here and they're working, they've got an employment card, employment authorization document, and it doesn't expire for more than X amount of time. Okay. Oh, if they have a green card, then that's totally fine. Yes.
Cool.
That's the answer.
Barbara, you had a question?
Just curious where the rates are now for example.
They're still, sort of in the mid to high sixes, fluctuates daily. With some buy down, though, it's easier to get a little bit lower than it was, say, maybe, a couple weeks ago. So we have seen some improvement recently. It's been marginal. Where I see it going, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't have quite that crystal ball. However, inflation reports, sort of are showing that we are getting, improvement, just not the sort of leaps and bounds improvement that we had sort of expected and hoped for. And so as a result, the Fed has remained, sort of stingy and wanting to come down on rates. They haven't given up that, they haven't, projected that they're not going to raise anymore. Although most of the members sort of feel like, have come out and said that they're going to more stay the course, for a little while before they start bringing it back down. A lot of it's going to depend on where the jobs reports continue to come in. As long as the job numbers continue to be strong, it's likely they're not going to lower the Fed rate for a while. As soon as you start seeing jobs numbers, get worse, then we should see, rates start coming back down a little bit. So, not that we want a bad job, but and even when they do come down, it's not, we're not going to get back into that, that threes and stuff likely. I mean, if we could get back down into like the low fives or something, then that would be awesome. So yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks for the
Thanks,
lowdown
Ed.
on the lowdown.
The lowdown, yes. All right, in a couple of weeks, there are some special guests coming in from Keller Williams Boise. Andrew Anderson, who has presented to us, and Chase Craig and Brent Hansen. And Chase, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, okay, they can see you in the room here. Thanks
Perfect.
for joining us. Tell everyone a little bit about the event, and what's going on, and like what success you've had with it so far, kind of touring it around the region.
Yeah, we've been going on tour. So I guess just rapid fire on the event. What I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about myself and Brent, a little bit about the class. And then I want to, even if you don't make the class, I want to give you guys some value today, something that's made a pretty big difference in my world, and just wanted to teach it to you, give you a little glimpse of some of the stuff you might learn if you choose to come to the class. So my business partner, Brent, and I together have sold over 5,500 homes and over $2 billion in real estate. And we combined our businesses just a little over 6 months ago and formed a partnership with Livian and Gary Keller. And, in doing that, we developed a class called Scale. So it's Scale Your Business, Scale Your Life. We're going to be coming there 2 weeks from Thursday. And just the nitty gritty on the course, it's a 4-hour course. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lunch will be included. You'll get a signed book from Andrew Anderson. I believe the cost is $75. And you will, I can promise you're going to take away a ton of value and significantly more than the course will cost. I believe in terms of the course itself, Scale, Andrew comes out, he's going to help you guys understand how to scale your life and your mindset. And then Brent and I are going to get more into the nitty gritty of things you can implement right now to take your business to the next level. And what I wanted to share today, just to give you guys some value, make sure you're walking away, even if you can't make it for whatever reason, I want to share a model that's kind of changed the way that I've approached leading people, my relationships, my family, honestly, like forgiveness to just really anyone in the world. My mentor, one of my mentors in the coaching world was Diana Kokoska. I was a MAPS coach for about 5 years and still run a coaching business today. And this story model has been super valuable. So if it's okay with you, Corinne, thank you for letting me come on here, but I'd love to just teach this real quick. Is that all right? Awesome. So I'm going to kind of go through what the story model is just super fast, and then I'll explain a couple different scenarios, how this might show up in your world. So the first thing is something happens, then we have a reaction, then we form a judgment, then we start to tell a story based on that judgment. Then what we do is we gather evidence. Now, the critical piece here, if you happen to be taking notes, right next to gather evidence, you gather evidence to support your story. And then ultimately you predict your future. So I've been fortunate enough to coach my kids' football teams. I have a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old, and now an 11-year-old, and I'm coaching my 11-year-old's football team right now. And so I'm going to use a football story as an example. And you guys might have kids, or you might know someone that has kids, and so you can relate to this in some experience. So let's take little Johnny. So little Johnny goes to catch the football and little Johnny drops it. So that's the something that happens. He drops the football. What kind of reaction do you think little Johnny might have? I can kind of hear you in the room, so just shout it out. What kind of reaction would he have?
Shame, disappointment. That's what we have.
Shame, disappointment. He's upset, right? Maybe doubt, whatever. So then he forms a judgment. And the judgment is like, gosh, I'm not a good football player. So then he starts to tell the story that he's not a good football player. Now, this is where the story gets really interesting, is we start to gather evidence, remember, to support our story. So little Johnny goes and catches 19 passes in a row. And then what happens on pass number 20? I bet you can predict it. He drops it.
Mhm.
And what do you think little Johnny does with that evidence that he gathered? He says, see, I told you I wasn't good at football. And he takes that evidence, ignores all the other evidence of catching the ball 19 times in a row, and then ultimately he predicts his future, and little Johnny never ends up playing football because, of the story that he's told himself. And so, that's an interesting story, Chase. How does that relate to me? Well, let's use this, and we're not going to get into politics, but this story model is exactly what happens in politics, right? Think about your side, quote unquote. You might not have a side, and that's okay. Think about a side, and don't they do the same thing? Doesn't something happen? Someone gets elected or someone doesn't get elected. They have a reaction, they form a judgment, they start to tell a story, and then they gather evidence to support their story, but they ignore everything else that refutes their story, right?
Mhm.
And then ultimately they predict their future. So let's put this into the real estate world. Has something happened in the last 2 years in real estate? I think we were hearing from our partners at Academy Mortgage that something's happened, right? The rates are a little high. He said high interest rate environment. So rates go up. What kind of reaction do we have? Anyone?
Nobody's selling, nobody buying.
You're scared. That's the story, by the way. But the reaction is we're scared or we're worried or, whatever it may be. And then we form a judgment. We judge like no one should buy in this market. I wouldn't buy in this market. Why would anyone else buy in this market? So you start to tell a story. Okay. And the story is no one's buying or selling in this market. I just heard that from, remind me your name. I apologize.
I'm
Next to
telling, I
Corinne.
was just regurgitating what someone said in the back of the room.
Oh,
But yes.
perfect. So whoever said that in the back, I love it. You told the story that we're hearing every single day. We're hearing that story that no one's buying or selling. And so we start to gather evidence. Now, what evidence do we gather? The evidence that we use to support our story.
Mhm.
So I want you guys to write down. I'm going to give you the story busting model. And this is the nitty gritty. This is how you can help your kids. If you have a little Johnny or maybe a nephew or someone who has a kid or whatever, this is the story busting model. For those of you that are coaching real estate agents in the room, or maybe you're trying to lead your team in the room, here's the story busting model. It's 4 questions. Okay. Number 1, is that true? And so if I'm coaching an agent, I'm going to say, is that true? No one's buying. They're like, yeah, no one's buying. And then you ask the second question, is that 100% true? Now, 100% true means there's 0 people buying, period, the end. Now, I don't know if you guys have an MLS in Portland. Actually, I do know you have an MLS in Portland because I've coached a dozen people in Portland. And you guys have an MLS, so you can go pull up how many people closed on homes in the last 30 days. Right? And I'm sure some of you guys have that number. So people are buying in Portland, yes or yes?
Yes.
So now we know it's not 100% true. So is it true? Is it 100% true? And a follow-up question, if someone's still stuck, like your child is still stuck, yes, it's 100% true, dad or mom or whoever. Then you can say, well, let me ask you this. Is someone else doing what you think can't be done? Is there anyone else doing what you think cannot be done? Right? And that's a question 2B, right? So question 2A is it 100% true? If for whatever reason there's still like me, they're a little thick and it takes some time, ask them, is there someone else doing what you think can be done? So now question 3 is, how does having this thought serve you? So, which is a great question for you to really understand where you're at in your life and in the story you're telling yourself. How is having this thought serving you? And then the last question is, who would you be without that thought? And I'll give you, I mean, I don't even have to give you examples. I'm sure in your market in the last 2 years, there's been a brand new agent who is killing it today. And if we really broke it down, couldn't we just say, well, that person just doesn't have these thoughts because they don't know any better? So that's the story model. Every one of us is telling a story. Okay, everyone on the planet's telling a story. And since we're telling a story, as Diana would say to me, why don't we just tell ourselves a good one? So that's what I wanted to leave you guys with today. I wanted to give you some value in case you cannot make it to our course. If you can make it to our course in a few weeks, please come shake my hand. I want to meet you. I'd love for you to take a ton of value away. I know you guys will. And I would challenge you, if you're not getting the value, come see me. I'll figure out a way to refund you for sure.
Thank you, Chase. We
Thanks, Chase.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you want more information about their course, it's on our website. There'll be a link, and it's being held at Tualatin Country Club. So just 5 minutes from here, not even. So should be a great
Yeah,
event.
thank you for hosting that, by the way. That's so cool. We can't wait to see you guys there. And yeah, have a great meeting, guys. Have an amazing day and tell an amazing story, okay?
Thanks, Chase.
I
Have a
love
good
that
day.
circular model.
Thanks.
You just like see how it builds. You can just see how it just builds negativity, right? Like you just like
Yeah.
you have this bad thought, you just prove it and you make
Right.
it true,
Like,
and then
see,
you carry it with you, and then you bring it to something else, and it just like forever, it just rolls downhill, gets bigger and gathers a bunch of gunk on it.
Like,
Yeah.
no, it's 2D, you can kind of see it as a 3D, kind of like.
Yeah.
Up or down. kind of thing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just so you know, I didn't believe.
He did not.
Well, we know.
No, we know. Yeah. Yes.
And the law.
Just to clarify,
Yes.
yes, thank you for adding that in. So we wanted to announce, you guys,
It's
we
exciting.
a long time ago, not a long time ago, geez, like 5 years ago, we had Michael Lewis Marketing Suite, which is a marketing company that the office paid for, and our agents had access to it. So we haven't had it for a while, and we just re-signed up for it for our agents. So Michael Lewis Marketing Suite is a whole marketing portfolio that has like listing presentations, buyer's guides, postcard, all different things, tons of canned templates, like they can help you do it in command. I mean, so exciting. So next week on this meeting, they're going to be introducing us to the website, showing everyone how to log on, and some of the tools that are available. But we just wanted to announce to you that that is coming. And for you guys, it's all included. You can pay to have them like do stuff for you too, to take your marketing to the next level. But there's all the different templates just pre-made right in there for you. So
And they will be sending out an activation link for everyone Tuesday morning. So just if you get that in your inbox, that's what it is.
Cool.
yeah, so don't delete it, right? Because you might want to refer to that. So if you see emails from them, that is who Michael Lewis Marketing is. So, all right. And then some of you guys in this room are year-to-date top producers. So for individual agents, Rita Wolf at 19 million, Cricket 17.8 million, Stacy Hartzler 16 million, Bradley King 10.9, and Linda Heinrichs, hold on, I can't see, there's
10
a
point,
glare.
almost six.
Yeah, almost at 10.6. So congratulations to all of our individual agents. And then on our groups and teams, the Office of Darrell Bodle at 103 million, Fox Group 75 million, 117 with expansion. And then this is exciting. Waldman and James at 29.4 million. You guys switched over, right? They were both two of our top individual agents, but it's so cool that Pam and Laura are the Waldman and James Realty Group. Then we have Team Schwab at 25 million and the Clark Group at 13.7. So Round of applause for all of our top producers. And Bradley finally broke the streak of ladies only on the individual agents. So that's really cool. And it is so cool to see you guys. Let's talk about what's going on in the market.
Let's do that.
So we are preparing these slides, and I said to Kelly, you know, some of them are like not super positive. I was like, we can't show these. This is too depressing. This is gonna, you know, make everyone leave unmotivated. And Kelly's like, no, it is a good story. And the
Yeah,
numbers are the
I-
numbers, right? You can tell like
Mhm.
I'm more of an optimist, he's more of a cynic, but in a good way, we balance each other out. But
But I'm the optimistic one in this.
no,
scenario.
no, but I'm gonna say that you were right. Like we want to show you the numbers of what's
Yeah.
really going on, right?
It's important to know.
So
Knowing's half the battle. That's what
if
GI
Kelly
taught.
starts to reach a negative, I'll kick him under the table.
Oh, we have this. Oh, we have this.
Oh,
Look at this
wow.
go.
Austin
right.
never gave us the
Whoa,
control.
Whoa. All right.
Okay, so this so some of this data is from the RMLS Market Action Report that just came out. So the inventory for August is 2.2 months.
Look at that stuff.
And
Hold on.
Sid, will you drop the lights in the front?
So. Decrease, decrease, increase, well, flat, increase, decrease. That's positive.
Okay,
See?
yeah.
This is positivity.
Okay.
So yeah, inventory is going down. Well, depends on if you have a listing, it's positive. If you have a buyer, it's negative, I guess, right? Right, but it's good for value. I mean, usually this is a direct correlation to what home values are doing. They're certainly not going down, I don't think, but based upon that, right there. And then you've got the kind of the hot list there,
Yeah.
the heat ranges.
Everything in the reddish orange is in like the 90th percentile. So, you know, just as you'd kind of expect, the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 houses are the ones that are selling the most.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the truth, right? Like if you look at the numbers on the right versus the numbers in the middle and the numbers on the left, well, at least in the middle, you can tell that they're going down, right? Everything's slowing down, right? So your business is probably slowing down a little bit. So you need to have some perspective. You can either choose to do something about it, or you can just ride the wave.
Yeah,
Don't ride the wave.
don't ride the wave.
But the numbers and the under the columns, like July, August, those are units sold.
Yes.
So that's different price.
Yes, yep, units sold within the price range. And like the value of this, and this is available in the RMLS, so is like, if you're looking at a price range, you're like, okay, for an example, like if I'm at 1.5 and 1.6, there was only 11 houses sold, but there's a pretty significant increase between, you know, just 4, but like that's 11%, that's, what is that? About 38% better chance of selling at that price point than the other. So, but then conversely, it's about the same here, but big jump there, right? So I think this is really valuable if you're trying to figure out what price point to be at, or if you're trying to tell a story to your clients who want to like, well, I think I'm really worth I really think I'm worth 1.8 and you think it's worth 1.5. Well, now you know you're right, probably, right? I mean, at least you know that you've got some data to back it up. So what's that? Yeah, do you want, it might be worth that, but do you want to sell it? Right.
Yeah.
It's worth it to you.
Hey, Kelly.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the inventory,
Mhm.
talk about the 2.2 and stuff,
Mhm.
where, you know, when you have a good balance of sellers and buyers, where
What's
do
it?
you want to see that?
What's that number at? I thought that, what is it? 6? Yeah.
Yeah.
6
some
is supposedly a balanced market.
Yeah, so, and then there's some things that you read that say like that now, like even 4 would be like
Right,
balanced
yeah.
now in
Especially in the
our
Portland
times,
metropolitan area where we
right.
have a housing shortage, like you'll never see that 6, I don't think.
I've never seen anything from 12 years. I've never.
No.
That's an 8.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, people would, yeah. Seriously.
People would lose their minds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, and overall in the US, we're because there wasn't a lot of construction happening, like it all started around COVID time, we're still like multiple million houses short nationwide, and like we feel that in Portland, like
Even more so because we're,
there's less
Metro,
pla-
because Metro and
yeah,
Urban
so
both
we're
friendly.
not,
Mhm.
that is gonna keep us behind
Mhm.
for some time.
Yep.
Talking about storage,
Yeah,
everybody talks about how the market's going down. I talk about how the market used to be this big. for right now, it's only just big, just shrunk a little bit, but it's happening just the same. as
It really is.
I love that,
Yeah,
Peter.
that's a
That was-
fair
That's
point.
good.
That's a very good point.
Just-
Yeah,
Say
and I
it
think
again,
these,
say it again in case anyone missed it.
yeah,
It was so good, we gotta say it again.
Market used to be this, has been this big for the last number of years. Now it's this big. Market's not declining, it's just shrunk. The same thing's happening in the smaller sphere that was happening in the larger. Everything is price right, is selling, buyers are buying homes, sellers are being successful. It's just smaller. So we have to work a little bit harder, but it is not the end of the world, and nothing is happening that hasn't happened. Unfortunately for me, I've seen it many times, multiple times before, but that's it, it's just shrunk.
yeah,
It's not
I love that.
horrible.
I think it's a really accurate, that's a really accurate. number.
Mhm. Okay, active listings.
Down.
Yeah,
Finally have some.
I know. No,
Still,
well, up a tiny bit from July,
still
but-
down.
yeah. Okay, the
Well, yeah,
yellow is the.
You're right, that's been the highest
yeah.
point of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, the yellow is is 2020.
The irony is, it's the highest point of the year, right? But we are declining in our inventory. So that means activity's up, right?
Okay, new listings, down relative to where we were at the last 2 years.
But flat.
Oh, flat month over month, okay. Pending sales, we're kind of like doing the line down slowly. Again, less than the last 2 years,
But
but
that
that's
would be
kind of
what
what
you
we
ex-
would expect.
But
yeah.
what you would expect, right? Like these years here, these are COVID influence, which we lost our seasonality, right? We're back more to a seasonal market. You would expect historically the number to go down. We've shown it through
Mhm,
time and time again.
The form of the line.
Exactly. Yep,
mhm.
yep,
Just gets smaller.
yep.
Okay, average total market time. So again, we're the orange yellow line at the top. So time on market is gonna be longer the whole year, right? Than it has been the last 2 years. So again, that's part of that client expectations.
Mhm.
So if people are talking about, well, my neighbor sold their house. Then you can look at the data. Okay, next up. Average sold price change.
So that's going down. It's decreasing.
Okay,
It's not happening as often. We're not changing prices and reducing prices as often now.
okay, that's good.
Isn't this the
I was gonna
most,
say, what does that?
isn't,
mean?
I think that's what that means, right? Average sold price change?
It's kind of a broad.
Oh, you think sold prices are going down, you think? No, it's a percentage of houses that are having price reductions.
Exactly, this is the percentage chart.
Yeah.
So it's gonna show greater fluctuations.
Mhm.
You
Good. Mark.
less than 1% change in 1 month, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Look how much it changed last year, in May over June.
Oh my
5%,
gosh, yeah.
5 to 3 to 1
Mhm.
in 2 months, that,
It's kind of flat this year.
Yeah, it's not, it's just those numbers are minuscule.
Mhm.
Okay, let's look at our stats, okay? So,
Yes.
go ahead.
Oh,
You wanna go?
okay, let's
I'm standing
do
now.
it together. You stand, do it too. You're doing so good.
Okay, all right, so I'm very excited about this number, 123 listings taken. I think we did 124 once this year.
Mhm.
That's a huge number. So you guys are out there getting listings, and I think the best litmus for success is the number of listings you're taking. You take a lot of listings, the best brokers in this town, the listing brokers, and they get buyers on the side, right? So
Right.
listings equal buyers, we're doing really good on that. You have a listing, that's 123 opportunities we have to market ourselves in the best way you can market. That's fantastic. Contract written, well,
Wait, wait,
that-
can we go back to listings just for a
Yeah,
second?
yeah, yeah.
'Cause- and it's a windshield number, right? So it's a forward
Basic
number.
number, yeah.
So, right, so those listings will create business in the future. So that's why it's an even
Mhm.
more exciting number
Mhm.
to have
Yeah.
such a good number at.
And while this number is down ever so slightly to 103, it's still really strong. If you compare these two numbers we get together, it like shows a lot of good future business going on there. So you guys are out there doing the work and it's working. So keep up the good work. It's doing awesome. Closed sales, 94, it's down a little bit, right? But I was thinking back, like we had such a good June and a pretty good July that maybe people got a little caught up on their closings and they lost some of their lead gen activities along the way. And now we're seeing again picking up here and there. So while this number is a little bit slight, I think that it's still strong, right? It's still
Mhm.
strong compared to the region. compared to the RMLS. It's still going really good. And this number is interesting, right? So this number's down a lot. So what does that mean? What's selling?
Not
Lower
the,
price.
yeah.
Lower price
lower
homes are
price
selling,
We
homes.
always had an anomaly in July, Rita had for double big properties, double individual properties in July.
Yeah, but if you look at August, I mean, we're pretty much traditionally
Yeah, that's
a
not
lot
unusual.
higher.
Yeah.
My first thought too.
Uh-huh.
I think the biggest difference this year is homes over $1 million.
Yeah.
It's not selling.
Exactly.
Mhm.
For the last couple of years, because people could see the benefit of buying 3%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, because we always are gonna have some anomalies of like the, like a, big commercial or big luxury, but overall,
Mhm.
the units are not that different from like August of 2022 or even just July versus
Yeah.
the close on. So that tells that bigger story,
So
right? That it
you
is
can take
definitely.
the numbers bad news, or you can take it as news and.
Great.
Right.
Some houses are selling, right?
Exactly.
And then when we go stop for a sec, just the number of listings taken, if you look at July, just last month and then a year ago, right? So like the listings taken is really good.
Yeah,
for
and
the
actually, no,
future.
what that is, these two numbers are still really strong. Like most offices aren't listing hundreds of properties, 100 properties a month. We are, but we just did 123 last, so that's a great job.
But I like what you said of like not taking that 53.2 million, because at first I was like, whoa, we can't show this. Look how much the closed volume's down, right? But it's not, it's just the story of what is
Yeah.
selling,
You
right?
need to know what's important.
About $200,000 price, average price difference.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and we'll get to that. Oh, wait, wrong way.
cool.
Okay, so yeah, so this is, we're gonna look at that
This
one.
is the.
So this is another look at our stats, but looking at the percentages. So year to date, we're at 745 listings, which is up 9%. The Keller Williams Northwest region, which is like Washington, Idaho, Alaska, Oregon, is down 24% year to date on listings. So, that's perspective. And then, so even though not some of these other numbers are down, the moral is we're down less than average,
That
right?
is a big success. That's a success number, right?
Mhm.
That plus 9% is tracking. That like means big success for us.
Mhm. Contracts written, and just to add, contracts written means contracts written that are accepted. So it's like that went pending.
Mhm.
So we're down 17% year to date. And again, a lot of that was first quarter, right? We had a little bit of a slow first quarter. But the region is down 25%. Closed sales were down 18%, and the region's down 27%. Closed volume, we're down 21%, and the region's down 27%. And then GCI, we're down 22%, and the region's down 31%. So again, not necessarily anything to like celebrate, but we just wanted to really illustrate that if you feel like you're down, you are down less than average.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Like you can't form the market. You guys can't control the market. You can only control what you're doing in the market, and you're outpacing most people.
We're keeping the momentum going.
Yeah,
We're not growing, but we're still moving forward.
Mhm.
Think about that. for a second.
absolutely.
And it's hard too, because like first quarter was very slow, so it's kind of like skewing the year to date,
Yeah,
numbers,
with it,
like we
yeah.
said, we
Yeah.
can keep
Absolutely.
that momentum going. Get
Absolutely.
off this slide, get to something better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Black number, that's a black number, sorry.
Yes, okay.
Yep, okay.
I think it was my fault.
Well, I was
That's
just
right.
trying to hold the
Oh,
sword for you.
okay, that was,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so our new listings, August of 2022 versus August of 2023, up 18%. And then year to date, we're up 9%. And then the Northwest region, you can see is down 9% and down 24%. RMLS overall is down 9% and down 21%. So that tells such a good story for the future, right? Like that's our future business.
Yep.
So if we were down year to date and then down on listings, down on like had really low contracts written, all of those are all those forward windshield numbers. So, wait, go back for a sec. Anyone have any thoughts on that? No. You can go for it now. Wait, go back one. There we go. Closed sales. So this is compared to the region and compared to RMLS. So for our closed sales, just looking at August 2023 versus August 2022, we were down 15%. Northwest region was down 15%. RMLS was down 17%. If you look at the whole year to date, we're down and this is our closed sales units. We're down 18%. The region is down 27% and RMLS is down 29%. So again, not that we're happy to be down 18%, but we're down less, right? 27% and 29%. Those are real sample pools. And then this is really interesting. Our average sales price went down a little bit, but we're still higher than this. And this is our average sales price year to date is $631. Our average sales price for the month of August was in the 500s for the first time in like, and I can't remember. Oh, I have it in front of me. I'll tell you the exact
In what cell,
but it was like 570 or something. And it was the first time it was in the fives for a long time. So, and I think that just shows of what's selling.
Yeah.
But overall, still above the region and RMLS.
Yep.
And I think that's the last one on that. Any thoughts on the market? Did this make you happy or sad? Yes, laugh.
On the number of sales fails.
Oh, deep.
I feel like
I'm not sure how to track. I don't
That's
know if
a
there's way
hard
to
one
track it.
because people might not.
RMLS doesn't track it.
It was that's right. That's on Monday.
Yeah, I'm sure you could, I could probably check that.
We could look at that. It would be a little manual.
It makes sense though that the number's probably up. I mean, like as the market shifts and as the leverage changes a little bit, like, I know that the inventory number's down a little bit, but it had been increasing, right? And so that would lead you to believe the buyers have a little bit more leverage and could be a little pickier and are probably walking away from homes that they were buying a couple of years ago, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one because
I mean, that's something I was talking about this before, and it's like everybody talks about, oh my gosh, the interest rates are so high, but you can get repairs done now. So instead, before you were having to like basically just eat any repair that was wrong with the house in order to buy a home. You couldn't get anything fixed, so you had to buy a bad roof. You had to buy issues with a foundation or dry rot. You had to buy those things and fix them yourself. Now you can get those negotiated and fixed to some degree. So I think it maybe doesn't offset the change in interest rates entirely, but I bet you, if you were to refinance down the road when rates change, that the difference between what you got fixed and how much you end up paying to get it fixed, it really probably almost offsets the difference, right? It's pretty darn close.
Yeah, no, I think it's an expectations conversation with our sellers.
Yeah.
Hey, this could happen.
Absolutely.
We could get go 2 months, not get the sale, finally get a sale and have that sale.
Yeah.
So how do we prevent that? Do we do pre-inspection?
Pre-inspection, right?
And then what's the conversation with our buyers who are under contract who just now are backing out for silly things?
Yeah.
I saw a great chart that I took a picture of and want to try to recreate. For those who were at the Women's Council CE class that we had here on Friday, it was a market update, and there was a really good slide on if you weighted like the amount that you would have paid in the change in interest rate versus if you weight the amount that your house would have appreciated. And I know Peter's had one like that before, but it just showed it so easily to like show your clients of like, yes, interest rates are a little higher, but like, look how much houses are still appreciating in the Portland area. And like basically the amount of the value of appreciation outweighs the difference in interest. So, but visually this chart was really good. So I want to try to recreate that for you guys.
Oops. Or what happened?
Okay. Now Kelly's going to talk to us a little broker's corner about property disclosures.
Okay, cool. Here we go. All right. So there's a fun graphic. Okay, so we're gonna talk about property disclosures. Why am I talking about this, guys? I do talk about this a lot, but the reason why I'm talking about this is because it is the statutory way to get out of the sale agreement. So if you deliver a notice of revocation to your title company, the buyer delivers a notice of revocation to the title company can release that earnest money without your sellers signing off on it, right? It is the best way to back out of a sale. It's also the most flawed document that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And there's all kinds of problems with it. And there's all kinds of nuances to it that I've been using in the last couple months to get some of our buyers out of sale agreements that they should not have gotten out of. I've gotten earnest money back in situations when we shouldn't have gotten it back. Okay, because people didn't understand how to use the document, and there's a lot of unknowns around it, and I can make a lot of arguments about it. So I'm gonna go through my opinion on this and what I see about it and give you a really strong understanding. We're gonna go long, so if you have to leave out, if you have to duck out, don't hurt my feelings, I got it. You're gonna go past 10, okay? All right, so let's just start at the very top here. So this is where the instructions the seller says, it says, please complete the following form. Do not leave any spaces blank. Pretty straightforward, right? Please refer to the line numbers of the questions when you provide your explanations, okay? Which is referring to that.
Woo!
Line 48, which is at the beginning of the, the questionnaire where it says, if you marked yes to any items with a star, attach a copy of your explanation on the attached page, right? We all know about this, no news, okay? All right, if you are not claiming the exclusion or refusing to provide the form under ORS 105.4754, you should date and sign each page of the disclosure statement. Nothing new, but this stuff gets missed all the time, guys. There's a lot of instruction on this and you need to follow, okay? Next paragraph. Each seller of a residential property described in the statute must deliver this form to each buyer who makes a written offer to purchase. Under the statute, refusal to provide this form gives the buyer the right to revoke their offer at any time prior to closing the transaction.
Ding, ding, ding.
Right, that's where the trouble starts, right there, okay? Now, do you have to provide this to each buyer who writes an offer? If you don't accept their offer, there's really no harm in not providing them with the seller's property disclosure statement because they can't revoke an offer that was never accepted in the first place. But if you go into contract with a buyer, you have to provide this. Unless they
That makes good.
basically. Okay. Use only the sections of this form that apply to the transaction for which the form is used. If you're claiming the exclusion under the statute, fill out only section 1. In my first 2 months of this job, I got our buyer out of a deal. We got our earnest money back that we should not have gotten back because the seller's attorney, who was like a trust attorney, was handling an estate, accidentally signed page 2 of the seller's property disclosure statement. And I said, well, you signed something, were they going to answer the questions? Were they not going to answer the questions? We don't know. And we got our earnest money back because of that. Okay, that's silly. That's absolutely should never happen. That attorney should know better than to do that. We got our sellers. I can't imagine his conversation with the estate saying, hey guys, I screwed up. We have to give the earnest money back because I signed page 2 of the agreement. It sounds stupid, but this is the law. It's statutory, right? You don't follow the law, this is what happens. Okay. An exclusion may be claimed only if the seller qualifies for the exclusion under the law. If not excluded, the seller must disclose the condition of the property, or the buyer may revoke their offer to purchase anytime prior to closing the transaction. Questions regarding legal consequences of the seller's choice should be directed to a qualified attorney. There's no attorneys, nobody's qualified to really talk about this, guys, with any certainty. All right, just so you know, it's so poorly written. All right, on to the next. Okay, let's talk about these exclusions. All right. So if the seller qualifies for one of these, they do not have to answer the questions that are posted on the following pages. Okay, this first one here, this is the sale. First sale of a dwelling never occupied. The dwelling is constructed or installed under the building or installation permits number here. I'm just going to go over the most commonly used one. So in new construction, we see this all the time. Okay. The next one is if the seller is a court-appointed receiver, personal representative, trustee, conservative guardian, right? Those are the 2 most used ones. We rarely deal with a financial institution or definitely the governmental agency. I've done one of those in my entire career, I think. So very rare that we run with those. Okay. 2, if you did not claim this exemption in section 1, now we're moving down to section 2, you must fill out the section. Okay. So here we're talking about, we're getting into the questionnaire part. Disclosures contained in this form are provided by the seller on the basis of the seller's actual knowledge of the property at the time of the disclosure. So when they're filling it out, that's when the answers are to be true. Buyer has 5 days from the seller's delivery, the seller's disclosure statement to revoke buyer's offer by delivering buyer's separately signed written statement of revocation to the seller disapproving the seller's disclosure statement, unless buyer waives the right at or prior to entering into the sale agreement. Okay. Everybody understanding the method of this? Okay. For more comprehensive examination of specific conditions of property, buyers is advised to obtain and pay for the services of qualified specialists to inspect the property the buyer may have. All right, so I just thought we'd go for, this is what we know for certain, right? The seller must complete the form, the seller must answer all the questions, the seller must refer to the questions by number when providing explanation. They must explain their questions with a star yes. If the seller lawfully claims the exemption, they should not date and sign any pages beyond page 1. A seller must deliver a copy of the disclosure to every buyer who makes a written offer to purchase the property. If the seller does not qualify for the exemption, they must complete section 2. The seller's answers and statements are only based upon their actual knowledge of the property at the time the form is completed. The buyer has 5 business days to revoke their offer from the day the seller delivers his disclosures, unless the buyer revokes their right to receive the seller's property disclosure statement before that. And it's the buyer's responsibility to do thorough inspections of the property. Okay, so now we get to the fun part. Questionnaire. Okay, it's question and answer. So if the seller has lawfully claimed the exclusion, does the buyer have the right to revoke the offer? No? Yes? 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 Yes?
No.
No. Well, it says here, if not excluded, the seller must disclose the condition of the property, or the buyer may revoke their offer to purchase anytime prior to closing. So that would lead you to a no. But it also says the buyer has 5 business days from the seller's delivery of the seller's disclosure statement to revoke buyer's offer by delivery. So I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. Right, we'll get back to that. Okay. Another question. The seller qualifies for exclusion, but fails to deliver the seller's property disclosure statement. Does the buyer retain the right to revoke?
Yes.
Yes?
If they don't deliver, oh, I see, yeah.
Yes?
Under statute.
Okay, well, I don't know. Honestly, there's nothing that addresses that question in the entire thing. Okay, I have no idea. That if you're using or in the OREF sale agreement, yes, but we don't always use that, right? But that's not the seller's property disclosure statement. That's a separate form. Now that's a document that's drawing that's making a term based upon the delivery of this form. So yes, and that's the situation. Okay, here's one that we had. Oh, sorry. Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. I think you're happy here. Okay, so this was one we had recently where we got earnest money back. The seller embedded the exemption into their sale agreement. Okay, so they added this home was construction and installed or permit number issued by Lafayette according to the transaction, yada yada yada. Right. So they've sucked out a portion of the seller's property disclosure statement, the exemption, and embedded it in their sale agreement. Okay. We got our buyer's earnest money back because they did not, because one, the document doesn't allow for this. You can't pull this out. You have to deliver the form. It says in the beginning, you must deliver the form, not deliver like a line out of the form. And they left this blank. There was no permit number. So they didn't deliver us any information whatsoever. Only that they are thinking they're going to claim an exemption, but they have not in any way fulfilled the exemption at all, the exclusion at all. Okay, so we got earnest money back on that. The buyer just they ran out of time on their inspection period, their financing contingency, and they found that they couldn't buy the house. They should not have got their earnest money back if they filled out the form properly, but they didn't, and we got their earnest money back. Okay. Here's another question. The seller's claimed exemption on the form, and the seller's broker has delivered the first page of the SDS to this buyer's broker. Assuming the seller's claim is legal and the buyer has the right to revoke the offer, how long does the buyer have to revoke? 5 days.
But they didn't receive the full agreement.
That would, my argument would be, they didn't receive the full agreement. They just received, and even though it says don't fill out, don't sign the other pages, it doesn't say don't send them.
It wasn't.
And my thought on that is the buyer should know what answers to questions they're not getting. I feel like that's a relative thing. Okay, so. All right, and this is where I kind of going. We're tight on time. The seller has meticulously completed and filled out the seller's property disclosure statement. The seller's broker has posted a copy of the on the RMLS. A buyer has entered into agreement to purchase the property who is represented by an RMLS member broker. When does the buyer's right to revoke expire?
But it's not till it's delivered, actually. Attaching an RMLS is not a delay.
I agree.
Ooh,
I agree
good
wholeheartedly.
job, PM.
So if the buyer's agent returns it, signed by the buyer, does that consider?
I would think that,
reverse?
I think that counts.
Because they're-
It's not really addressed, but I think comments, you
But
would,
day one cannot start till you're under contract.
yeah, right, yes,
You did that right, that's.
exactly. That's exactly, yeah. yeah. Okay, the seller's broker has delivered an incomplete copy of the SDS. The buyer's broker has had the buyer sign them and return them back to the seller's broker.
Yeah.
When does the buyer's right to revoke?
Days from the day
No,
I've argued this the other
Forever.
way.
I mean.
I
till the
mean,
end.
technically, the buyer's signature is just taking receipt of it. It's not agreeing to anything on it. So you're taking receipt of it. Now, I'll argue something later about this, but the answer is I don't know. I don't know the answer. I really don't know I could make an argument either way.
Oh,
Because of,
Because they didn't mark NA in one of the
Yeah.
boxes, right? Okay,
but Kelly's used that that loophole is.
I've gotten
a
people out.
real-
yeah.
I don't know, it's not.
I could argue our way.
It's interesting. Mark, you know, it has to be, I mean, sure, you could argue it at any moment, if
Mhm.
it's not completely.
If
Yeah.
it's not
dialed
complete,
in,
it's
even if
not.
There's no questions. or
delivered.
accepted, it's-
Right.
it's-
And the reason why we don't have answers to these questions is I'm sure they've been posed to an arbitrator at some point and they've ruled on it. The problem is it's sealed, so nobody really knows what the arbitrator thinks.
Like when that 5 days starts over, like if you do make it, oh, I forgot to initial there, or I forgot to mark that, you know, just a quick
Yeah,
edit, is that?
in my opinion, that would restart the whole thing. Yeah. But it also may have never began, so. All right, and I'm gonna make a point here, so this is the gray area, so what, if a buyer, may revoke an offer where a seller is legally claimed the exemption, I don't know, maybe. If a buyer may revoke an offer where a seller may legally claim the exemption, what is that, yeah, claimed it. We just went through these are the gray areas, I'm not gonna bore you with this again. But bringing these gray areas up, because there's something we can do to combat all of this, right, as listing agents. There's something we can do to do it, and so my best practices for a seller will be, is make sure the form is always complete. Like, go over it and make sure, because I would, if I'm representing your buyer and they need to get out of a transaction for some reason, I'm gonna send over, I'm gonna look at the first thing they look at is the seller's property disclosure statement. If one of those questions isn't answered, I'm gonna send a revocation, and they're gonna be like, well, why'd you send this? It's like, well, you never delivered the form. And I'll make a really strong argument that people don't want to refute. It's just, and you would hate to be representing that seller in that situation. So make sure it's always filled out. It only takes a minute to review it, go through it. Every time you get one sent to you, check to make sure every single box is checked before you ever deliver it to a buyer too.
When you say revocation of the property disclosure, it's just, you know. saying
It's-
this was not
No,
received.
you would just, there's actually a form, there's already a form, but you could also just write in an addendum, buyer hereby revokes. Buyer's offer, buyer doesn't approve of the seller's property disclosure statement.
But there is a form for.
There's an already a form for it. Yep. Yep. Two, I would always deliver the form in completion of buyer's broker. I would consider this, if I was in production right now, I would send over a copy of the seller's property disclosure statement right away, and every deal I would counter a waiver of the seller's property disclosure timeframe. So the buyer can waive as they go into contract or before they go into contract the right to receive it. Well, you can still deliver the information and give them what they need to know, but if you waive it, if you can get the buyer to waive it prior to going in contract or as they go into contract, you will never have to deal with these gray areas because they won't exist. They can't waive it after they've gone into contract. They can only do it as or before. So I would counter every deal. Like, I don't know how it'd be received, but I mean, if you're giving them all the information and they've got a litany of other ways to get out of the deal anyways, then what's the big deal?
You're saying, we're the seller, or
Mhm.
applying for the seller.
Yeah.
We get an offer, we counter the offer and we ask the buyer to waive their right to revoke.
If you don't want to deal with this, right?
I wouldn't. advise
Would you
that
be-
To a buyer.
But you've got your inspection period and you've got all the questions.
But I like having the right for the buyer.
We've been on the market for 45 days, you're so excited for that offer.
Yeah, you'd be really happy to get it, right? But it doesn't really change the terms of the agreement. It just changed the ability to back out for the buyer. So, I mean, it's like, once you deliver it, it's 5 business days anyways. I don't know. You can either do it the right way and make sure it's all 100% filled out. You can do it this way and never have to deal with it. I don't know. Okay. Otherwise, delivery complete along with any accepted offer or the buyer's counter offer immediately upon receiving the accepted offer. So send it right away. Just get it out, just get it done, make sure it's complete, do it the right way. That's the other solution to the problem. Is just do it right and never worry about it. Okay. And then I don't know if you guys see the Breeze is an app. It's with SkySlope, and the seller has to do it right, otherwise it won't let them complete it. Like they have to answer every single question. They have to provide an explanation for any yes start answers. Otherwise, they can't complete the form. It is a great tool. And it takes away a lot of the issues I'm just talking about. Okay. And then if you represent the buyer, never let your client sign an incomplete seller's property disclosure statement. So you should review this before sending it over. Don't have that question if whether or not it's valid or not. Just don't sign it. Now the question is, do you let the seller's agent know that you didn't sign it, or that they didn't complete it? I don't know. I don't think you have to let them know that they signed it incomplete, but they start asking for it and say, oh yeah, we received that, but it's incomplete. We're not signing it. Okay. Two, that would be with the exclusion, always confirm if the seller's claiming that they're like a court-appointed trustee, always confirm, ask the question, are they court-appointed? Because a lot of people just think, oh, I'm a trustee, I don't have to answer these questions. But in reality, they were just appointed the trustee by the trust itself, not by a court. So it's different, right? So double check, are you court appointed? I would always ask that question. Are you a court appointed this? Like if you're like a personal representative, are you court appointed, or is it just a power of attorney you have? Because there's a difference. If it's a power of attorney, you have to answer the question. All right. And then lastly, another thing to consider, what is the benefit to having your client sign in the first place? What's the benefit of having your buyer client sign the seller's property disclosure statement in the first place?
There is none. Other than the seller's agent expectation that you.
I mean, you're gonna send it over in an email, so you've got record that you delivered it.
Personally, I think they're with all the NAs and I've never seen this benefit.
Yeah, I was running into the problem too when like, how do you answer the question when the buyer goes to the inspection, having already looked at the disclosures and been like, well, this isn't true. Like, I've had buyers be like, I want them to review the disclosures. I'm like, that's not really how it works.
Yeah. It's not how it works at all. Go ahead.
I would say a benefit though is if there is a problem down the line, and someone brings it up and wants to blame you, you could be like, well, look, here's the seller disclosure, and they mark, yes or no on it. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You deliver it via email, have a conversation about it. Right.
To my knowledge, this was fact. These were the facts that were presented to me. And there it is in black and white.
I'm just saying that the timeline starts from delivery to you, regardless of when they sign.
Right.
The information has been given upon delivery to you, and then you're going to deliver it to the buyer. It's like you can keep track of it. I don't think the signatures really do anything good besides make the buyers, the seller's principal broker happy.
So the buyer signed it, saying, hey, has there been any water intrusion?
Mhm.
No. And 3 months later, yes, John's waterproofing was out there and did a huge job. I mean, that's why you have to, if they didn't sign it, you wouldn't have that.
No, you'd still have the delivery of the document. You would still say it's been delivered. It's a cover your own ass. It's a CYOA thing, right? And so you can choose a CYOA. You can also do it via email. Hey, did you review the seller's property disclosure statement? Did you have any questions about it?
So are you
Don't come and
saying
think.
you're not gonna charge fees for
Yeah.
buyer signing copies of the property?
No, I always ask for this stuff, but when it closes, it's done. I don't care. Once this is closed, the seller's property disclosure statement is like not part. It's not really. I never make you get one after. We never make you get one after the fact.
As part of the closed file, you don't need.
I don't need it for part of the closed file, right? I would need like a note, like buyer didn't sign it. But I don't really care that much. If it's not there at closing, as long as I know that you guys sent it, like copy the email that you sent it.
If something were to come back on that water
Yeah.
intrusion issue, if the buyer never signed it, it's still.
Yeah, because you delivered it and then you had a conversation, you had a, hey, just make sure you saw that I emailed this to you. Did you have any questions about it? You have an email showing that you did it. You could say, oh, we also had a conversation about it, right? You could do all that stuff in the file and you'd still be fine. There's no law saying you have to have it signed. Nothing says you have to have it signed. And it doesn't change anything really. It just shows that it just. Like this is when this was created, we weren't like emailing things, right? So it was like a receipt or something then. But now you have the receipt of the being sent. You can counteract the need to the signatures through an email. If you have questions about this, or a text message, you have any questions about this. So I know something to consider. You can, if you want to get it signed, more power to you. If you want if you don't want to have them revoked, do that too. Like whatever, there's something to consider, right? So, all right. Thank you all.
Cool. Thank you, Kelly.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day week. And stay for Cole's class.